Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm going to show you another deck profile, but it won't be Bermuda yet because I still yet to playtest with my friends because he owns the deck and I am planning to build one as well. So you will be seeing that very soon, but you will likely see it like next week or so, not this week. Because it takes me some time to actually test it, see what is best, and also let me to use those decks, or maybe let my friends building it and then play against it with other clans, so you can see how well Bermuda do. Is it like as OP as people think, or if it's not? But what I'm going to show you today is actually another Tachikaze deck profile. So we all know our big boy Angerblader is back. So today this deck profile is my updated version of the Angerblader. So you will see what I built and probably some more like guides on how you run this deck and something about like different mindset that you need to have when playing this deck as well. So of course, starting Vanguard and Angerblader is here. So Angerblader is still our main Great Freeze, and since we can run 4 now, so that's basically what we need for Great Freeze. For people who don't know what Angerblader does, he basically send one of the regard into another regard as gauge and pop one of our opponent's regards, and it's not once per turn. So as long as he's on Vanguard circle, you can just keep putting units on the field or using units existing on the field and put them under another unit as gauge, which if those units have 3 gauges or more, when Angerblader attacks you can stand them all, well, up to 3 actually. So usually with a XL marker, basically all your front row except your Vanguard Angerblader will be restanding if they have 3 gauges or more, which is also a reason you probably won't be having a lot of XL markers. Even if you do, you can. That doesn't matter, but the units that you can restand are only 3 of them, and all of them have to have 3 gauges or more, and then you share the 5k to all your front rows. So basically what Angerblader does is you ride it, you have 7 attacks on a turn, and you try to win there, or at least push your opponent to the corner so you can win next turn. So to put it in a simple way, that's the concept. And other cards that make the deck success, of course, is our Sweeper Equicanto. For each gauge you have, he get 5k. If he got 3 or more gauges, he can't be selected by opponent's card effects. But of course, if it's something that not choosing, like something that say wipe the whole board, attack the whole front row, all these kind of things, we'll still get rid of it. But there's most skills that we can always see targeting, like retiring and stuff, so Equicanto can prevent that. And when this card attacks the Vanguard once per turn as a regard, you can get a gauge on it. So it just putting this card out and attack with it, you already gain 1 gauge to put him as a 14k. XL marker become 19k, and you usually when you drop this card, you are well prepared to give him 3 gauges in total, counting when he attacks, which also the Angerblader is going to help you to do that. And with high power, withstanding with Angerblader, that's your win card. Then I'm running 2 of the Turbo Simulaton. So this little cat is still very strong, because whenever he appears on the field and when attacking Vanguard, you can place a gauge on under one of your regards, and it's not once per turn. So you call him, you put 1, you attack with it, put another 1. So if you are just purely relying, like say you don't want to use Angerblader skill to put some gauges on it, or Just simple reaching 3 gauges. Have your angerblader, have your echo candle on the field. Call your simulaton. Place 1, attack, place 1, attack, place 1. Then you already have 3, which pumping your echo candle to 24k by itself. So simple, easy to use, and it's not only a on-play skill. Whenever it attacks Vanguard, you can still use it. So like if you find something that can pump power on this card and give it 3 gauges and restand with your angerblader, you can still spread like another gauge after extending, which in this deck is possible. So next, I'm running 2 of the Dilo for power. So this card I don't see a lot of people actually running when they update the angerblader deck, but I personally like it for a few reasons. One that I will tell you later when I review another card. But one of his skills is when he appears on the field from hand, by counterblasting when you drawing card and calling card onto your Riga circle, then you can put 1 gauge onto that unit. So he is helpful when you are lacking hands while you have counterblast, because what you have to do is just call it on the XR circle so you can make sure he hits anything 14k, and counterblast 1, draw yourself a card, then place whatever on the field, and if it's like a sweeper, then of course you can give it a gauge. If it's something like good attacker, you can also give them a gauge. If it's something that you don't want to give them a gauge, then that's fine. But just this card, he helps you recycle, at least getting 1 extra card from deck to your hand by drawing, and even though you have to call something out, you still have 2 attackers. Even though they might be 8k, or you, worst of the worst, you might even be calling triggers, but still, that unit that you call can also be used by angerblader to feed up as another gauge. So overall, it's not bad at all. But the second part of the skill, I will talk about it later when I talk about another card, which we can straightly go into it, which is a Radiodon. So Radiodon is similar to a Simulodon, but the skill to gain gauge is only when attacking, and well, that's kind of a weak point, but the second skill kind of helps you out. So the second skill is when this card is being retired from Riga Circle by skills, by card skills, and it's your card skills, then you can call up to 1 unit from your gauge. Then on that unit, you can also give it a gauge. Same name can only be used once per turn. So why is this a good combo? Because what you can do with this card is a second skill. When this card appears from your gauge, you get 10k. Very simple, right? So what you have to do is you need to find a way to put this card under your Radiodon and kill it after it attacks through something else. And then what you do is you call this out, get it 10k. Even though you can't use the first skill to draw yourself an extra card and call something out, but 19k on XL circle, XL2 circle, 24k, good enough, right? And it's kind of easy because you do have other cards that helps you pop your own stuff. And how to put this card under your Radiodon? Angerblader. Just that easy. So like one of the most easiest thing that you can do is you have your Angerblader on the field, you call yourself a your Dilo for power, and say if you already have 1 in your hand, then you kind of last 1, draw whatever, call this out, and just chuck it in with Angerblader skill, and then you just power and all that stuff. attack with it, get something a gauge so that they can be easier to withstand by angerblader, then use something else to kill it, call this out, give it a gauge, and probably use this to give it another gauge, or like some other whatever cards you can help to give it like 3 gauges, attack, and stand it with angerblader. So that is something that is possible, and it isn't that hard, to be honest. And speaking about how you can kill your stuff, of course, for Mega Rex. So Mega Rex kills something that can already draw yourself a card, and you can also counterblast one, give it a gauge, and for each gauge you have under this unit you get +5 for the battle. So the power plus won't carry over, so you need to be very careful when you use this skill to pump up yourself. You don't want to put 2 less gauges and just waste the counterblast, even you still gain a gauge from it, but that also at the same time killing your deck, so you don't want to do that. So you do need to be very careful killing something that is needed, for example this, or maybe when you use this card and you don't have your Razor and you call yourself a Mega Rex, give it a gauge, then you attack with it, kill your Pyro, at destroyed card, and then you can consider to give it another gauge or not to pump it to 90k. So that's something that you can also think about. So now we cover all the great tools already, and you can see we use quite a lot of great tools because they are your key attackers. And now entering great ones. So first, 3 Sandilofo. This card is still very important in the deck because without any cost, just by resting it, you can at least gain a gauge, or you can move gauges if you want to, which again help you to do this combo as well. And say if you don't have your angerblader in hand, at least you can rest it, move gauges around so that you can pick it up later, which is possible. And the unit that you select can also get 5k if you counterblast 1. So if you spare counterblast and you are going for high power rush, then at least you have 5k extra. That sometimes is all you need to make sure your opponents can't guard them all. And talking about how you pick up your resources from gauge, you have your Laser Director X. I'm only running 3 because I try to keep my gauges to like my attackers, but they are like my backup plan. So if I really need to pick something up, then I can stock them here and eat it with a Mega Rex or anything else, or even just call over to get whatever I want. And next, 3 of the Raw Barrel, steal your key, like kind of attacker finisher, because what he does is when he appears, Soul Blasting 1, put the top card of your deck to one of your unit as a gauge, and for each gauge that unit has, after you add that gauge, he can 5k each per gauge. So it's something that you can also still combo with Radiodon. Sorry about that, I need to cut a little bit because I did say it wrong. So with this card, what you can do is first you use the skill to give another unit a gauge and pump their power, and then use your angerblader to put it under the gauge of your Radiodon, attack, give another unit a gauge, kill it with like Mega Rex, call this out, probably you won't give it a gauge, and then Soul Blast 1 again and give you another unit another gauge and pump the power. So it's like you suddenly have another big attacker because you feed it up with gauges, and then now you try to feed it up again like you can even pump your sweeper 2 times if you know your opponent's got no PGs in hand, or they only got 30k shields, and you need to pump yourself a lot more. Then you can just do that again. So something that you can also consider as a combo. Then I'm running 2 of the Sonic Noah, help you build your gauges, and also allows me more chances to kill my Radiodon to do multiple attack combos. So yeah, basically just that. And like most of the angerblader build, I'm running 4 of the Sonic Birds, mainly to try to search for my angerblader, and it's so easy to gain the 5k because you just need to call a random card, use angerblader skill and put it under whatever unit, then it's already a 13k. So easy to get power up, hitting key numbers, that's all you need. And mainly searching your angerblader so you can guarantee your first ride. So talking about triggers, I'm running only 8 crit, no, 4 crit, sorry, 4 crit and 8 draws. So here's our 8 and 4 heals. So the reason why is because you use your resources so fast, even you do have your power to keep help you drawing cards back, but you still need to call them on the field. So you just need to try to rotate your deck as fast as possible to get all your pieces, and make sure every turn you can like build up your whole board and swing for 7 attacks each turn. Every single hit matters, every single hit is heavy, and that's how you win. Yeah, so with this deck I probably won't be going through your right options because it's full of randomness, and it's more easier if I actually show you some gameplay, so you can actually see it later when I post a fight video. So if you do want to see how this deck runs, do look forward to that. Even though like in that match, that's a like place like near the end of the game that I actually need to consider the game more, but I didn't, and that cost me the game. But you can actually see it yourself and see if you are going to actually make the same decision, or you actually prefer gameplay and see if you can win there. Well, we can't tell, so yeah. But instead of not covering that like right options and some combos you can do, which I already explained to you some of the combos that you can do with some cards. For example, how Radiodon reacts with your Barrow, your Paro, how they do, how you react with your gaining gauges and pump up your sweeper, all these things. Then now what I want to talk about is actually some ways of thinking with the deck. So a lot of people, well, not exactly a lot of people, but I think there are people thinking when they're using angerblader is like a no-brainer deck, but it is not. Yes, it plays fast, it rushes, it wants to end the game quickly, and you always want to put like a full field or at least all front row so you can do 7 attacks and try to win it on first ride or the turn after. But that doesn't mean that this deck is a no-brainer, because you do need to plan very well for a few reasons. One, your gauges are random. You are not like Oracle or whatever that you can, or like Great Nature with Isabel that you can like look at the top card of the deck or whatever, that, or you put cards on top to the top of the deck so you know what they are. You never know until you put all your gauges with the effects, then you can start looking at them. And of course there are times that you will be like only putting triggers under your gauges. That happens unless you put something with your angerblader, but that's another story. So you shouldn't go no-brainer and like I just have all the stuff and I just call them out and I just keep attacking and I'll win. That's not the case. Like sweeper, if you don't like you are not confident to give it like 3 gauges, I'd rather not even call it on the field. But of course, in some cases, if you know your opponents have no field removal and not like pumping the unit early game, then of course you can still pump your sweeper to 19k and at least try to see if your opponents can kill it or not. But if you do have confidence to give it 3 gauges, then you always want to pump it to 24k by itself, so it's not that easy to get rid of because you only have 4. And if they go under your gauges and you don't have your Lacerator X or you don't have your Radiodome, then they will just stuck there and you can pick them up. And if 4 of them are under your gauges and you can't pick them up, that's really painful and that can happen. So that's what I mean by this stack is not a no-brainer, it's a rush stack, but you need to be very clear what you are doing. Because a few things. One, you want to make sure you ride your angerblader on time. Because if you are late for a turn or 2, your opponents probably have enough defensive power and they can survive. And how you are going to make them hard to survive is by taking a lot of damages, so that some of them hopefully a draw trigger so you can keep drawing cards, and you are making sure your opponents can't heal. Because what you want to do is to win in the first turn right or the turn after, usually. You hopefully won't go for another turn, which you're probably running out of resources already. And how you prevent your opponents not dying that easily is to limit how they can heal. Because say if you are 3 damages and you keep going on like all out attack, and just say if their deck is full of heal triggers, then you swing 1 time, they got a heal, they heal 1 damage, put 1 back. Okay, you pump your power and you hit them again, and they got a heal and they heal again. And you pump even further power and just swing again, and they got a heal and they heal again. So the damage won't change, even though that's like a very extreme situation, but this is possible. And how you can prevent that is by taking more damages. So you do have more resources to use, but at the same time you're putting yourself in a very dangerous situation that like every single attack that can kill you. Because as long as they reach the key numbers and you're on 5 damage, every single attack you need to guard with them. So you do need to control, are you going to 4 damage? So you do have 1 extra damage room for the next turn, assuming there is. Or you are going to do a heal lock by putting all 5 damage, so that your opponents can only heal when they hit the 6 damage. So that is very important. Something that you need to make sure you know what your opponent is playing, and just trying to keep tracking their triggers on the field, drop zone, damage, all these kind of places, so that you know, okay, this guy, he still got 4 heals in his deck, probably not, like assuming none in his hand, and his deck is like having 15 cards, say. So that's like a 1/4 chance that he will hit a heal trigger, which is quite high, 25%. Then that's where you need to be very, very careful. But if they are like already you're on 5 damage and they're on 4, then even if they hit a heal, they can't heal. So they still need to keep defense or attack. They still need to give up their hands to guard, which also helps you in the end to survive for another turn, because they don't have enough resources to build up their field, so they can't give you a lot of heavy attacks. And then because our hand size is always low, sometimes a little bit bigger, but it won't be a big hand size, then we can still kind of protect ourselves and to just survive and do the same trick again next turn. Build up our field, give the gauges, and do your 7 attacks, and then you probably can win. So this deck is really requires a lot of practicing, and you also need to think about the current matter. Yes, we do have a gold partner, we do have angel feathers that are 12k base Vanguard, so that your key stuff can usually still hit and your opponents still need to like defend a lot. But we are also having some force clans like the cross, that you can simply just put whatever on the field and hope yourself to win, because your angerblader itself is only can be a 70k. So if your opponents get a trigger, they are already on 23k. So it's not that easy to pass, and even if they are 13k, they just need to drop a 15k shield and they can say 2 pass, because one trigger you get can only pump to 27 and they are 28. So facing force clans is still a little bit hard to fight, but that's how it trains you how to manage your attacks more carefully, plan your field carefully, make sure what is needed, what is not needed, and not just put all whatever stuff on the field and just keep putting stuff that might be useful to your game to another unit with gauge using angerblader skill, and just consider, oh, I wiped the whole board, I put up strong gauges and I can win there. Sometimes not. So you need to be very careful, and I will just keep repeating myself, be careful, make sure you look at your opponent's field, your hand size. It's kind of like Limit Break era when Kai and Miwa are training Izaki, and they say, oh, your clan is Tachikaze and you eat your stuff to get stronger. But even though we are not, we are like kind of burning our deck to make the whole deck stronger. But you still need to look at your opponent's build, make sure you know what they are doing and what their damage condition is, their hand size, what triggers they already have, what units that you might need to target and kill, all these kind of things. You do need to look at the whole board. Don't go no brainer. Yeah. Then you can just sit back, use a little bit brain power, and enjoy your games with angerblader. So yeah, that's basically all I need to cover. If you have any questions, like if you really want to know some right options or like some other things, just comment below and I will check them out and see what you ask. Yeah, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.